When he let you go, your mind might have spiraled into this whirlwind of questions. What did I do wrong? Was I not enough? If I had just said this or done that differently, would he have stayed? And the truth is, it's completely human to go there, to analyze every detail of the relationship, to replay the last conversation, to comb through the silence, trying to find some hidden message or meaning. But here's what I need you to hear, maybe louder than anything else I'll say. His decision to let you go does not define your worth. It's easy to tie our self-esteem to the actions of someone we care about, especially when it's someone we gave our heart to. You think, if he couldn't love me, how can I believe I'm lovable? That's the mistake. That's the trap. Because someone's inability to hold space for you, to show up for you, to commit to you, isn't proof that you were too much or not enough. It's simply proof that he wasn't capable of giving what the relationship required. You could be the most emotionally intelligent, caring, radiant person in the room and still be undervalued by someone who isn't ready to receive or reciprocate that. When someone lets you go, it says something about where they are, their fears, their limitations, their emotional availability, their own blueprint of love and relationships. But it says nothing about your capacity to love, your value, or the joy you bring into someone's life. Sometimes we confuse rejection with a verdict on who we are. We think he walked away because I wasn't good enough to make him stay. But maybe the truth is, you were too real for someone who still wanted to play game. Maybe you showed up with clarity while he was still addicted to confusion. Maybe your maturity highlighted his immaturity. Maybe you were ready and he was not. That doesn't make you unworthy. That makes you ahead. That makes you aware. That makes you someone who deserves a deeper kind of love. The kind that doesn't leave when it gets uncomfortable, but leans in. The kind that doesn't walk away at the first sign of vulnerability, but meets it with courage. That's the kind of love you're capable of giving, and that's the kind of love you should wait for. But here's where it gets tricky, because he might let you go and still keep his foot in the door. You know what I mean. He stops calling, stops showing up, says he needs space, but every now and then he sends a message, likes a post, tells you he misses you, and it pulls at you because you still have a heart, you still have history, you still have that soft spot that remembers the good moments. That kind of inconsistency can make you question everything. It can make you hold on just a little longer, hoping that maybe he'll come back. Maybe he's just confused. Maybe he needs time. But here's the thing. When someone lets you go, but keeps trying to emotionally access you, it's not love. That's control. That's ego. That's someone who doesn't want you, but also doesn't want anyone else to have you. And you deserve better than that. You deserve the kind of connection that doesn't make you feel like you have to audition every day to be chosen. You deserve to be someone's certainty, not their option. And if someone couldn't see your value when you were fully present, they don't suddenly deserve access when you're finally pulling away. It's not your job to convince someone to stay. It's not your responsibility to shrink, chase, or prove your worth. Love that has to be earned through struggle isn't love. It's survival. And you were not made to survive relationships. You were made to thrive in them. You were made to be seen, respected, heard, and valued. Not in fragments, but fully. Sometimes people leave because they don't want the responsibility of your heart. Sometimes they're intimidated by your honesty, your clarity, your strength. And instead of rising to meet you there, they retreat. And you think that means you should soften your light, dim yourself down, so you're easier to love. No, never. You don't reduce your shine for someone who's afraid of the brightness. You find someone who sees it and thinks, God, I'm lucky to have found this. And until you find that, you hold yourself to a higher standard, not because you're cold or closed off, but because you've done the work to know who you are and what you deserve. It's going to hurt, yes, especially when you were ready to build something real. But pain doesn't always mean you've lost something good. Sometimes it's just the process of releasing something that was never aligned with your future in the first place. And that's not just healing, that's transformation. Let him go, not with anger, not with bitterness, but with truth, with grace, with a quiet knowing that says, I may not have been what you were looking for, but I am exactly what someone else is praying for. And that someone, they won't let you go. So let him go and let yourself grow. He let you go thinking you'd still be there. Maybe not physically, but emotionally. He assumed he still had a place. He thought you'd keep the door slightly open, that no matter what happened, there'd still be some part of you waiting for a change of heart, waiting for him to realize what he lost, waiting for him to circle back and say, I made a mistake. And honestly, that's what a lot of people do. They let someone go, but deep down, they don't really believe that person will actually move on. Because up until now, you've probably shown him, intentionally or not, that your heart was still invested, that no matter how much time passed or how much space grew between you, he still had a seat at the table. He still had access. And you might not have said it out loud, but maybe your actions hinted at it. Liking his posts, responding to his stories, replying to that late night, how have you been, with a warmth he didn't really earn. He let you go, but with a quiet confidence that you'd stay emotionally available, that he could find his way back whenever he wanted. He counted on your loyalty, even after he stopped choosing you. But here's where everything changes. When you stop playing that role, when you decide to not just accept his choice, but match it, when you stop keeping a candle burning in the window and start locking the door behind you as you walk into your next chapter, that's when everything shifts. Not just for him, but for you. Because let's be honest, holding on to someone who already walked away is a kind of emotional purgatory. You're not together, but you're not truly free either. It's like your life is on hold, waiting for a script rewrite, waiting for the plot twist where he comes back. And while you're waiting, you're missing what's in front of you. Opportunities, people who actually see you, and the beautiful growth that only comes from letting go fully. There's a part of you that might feel like walking away completely is giving up, but it's not. Giving up is what he did when he stopped fighting for you. Choosing yourself now isn't giving up. It's finally stepping out of a one-sided story and into your own. He expected you to stay emotionally available, to always respond with kindness, to never truly close the door. And maybe he even confused your kindness for weakness. But here's the truth. Kindness is powerful, and when you pair it with boundaries, it becomes unshakable. Letting go with grace is one of the strongest things you'll ever do, because it says, I still care about myself enough to stop giving energy to someone who isn't choosing me. That's not weakness. That's growth. That's strength. And sure, maybe he'll come back. Maybe he'll reach out once he realizes your energy is no longer orbiting around him. But by then, something will have changed. You will have changed. Because the person you're becoming, she doesn't wait for breadcrumbs. She doesn't entertain half efforts. She's too busy building a life that feels whole, with or without him in it. The funny thing is, he probably expected you to linger in the shadows of what you had. But you weren't put here to live in shadows. You were meant to shine. And that light, it's not dependent on him. It never was. It was always yours. You just forgot for a moment while you were focused on someone else's reflection. There's something powerful about matching someone's absence with your own, not in a petty way, not to play games, but in a way that says, I'm no longer putting my energy where it's not reciprocated. That decision is magnetic, not because it pulls him back, but because it pulls you forward into your self-worth, into your next level, into a version of you that doesn't settle for emotional crumbs just because it once felt like a feast. And yeah, it might hurt at first. That moment when you realize you were hoping for someone to come back and instead you're the one who walks away for real, that pain, that's the cost of growth. That's the ache of stepping into your power. But it doesn't last forever. Because healing begins the moment you stop negotiating with someone who already showed you they weren't ready to love you the way you deserve. He let you go thinking you'd hold on. But you're stronger than that. Strong enough to love deeply and still walk away when it's no longer right. Strong enough to choose peace over potential. Strong enough to let go, not because you don't care, but because you do, about yourself. And when he realizes you've truly let go, it'll hit different, because he won't just be losing a person. He'll be losing the version of you who waited, who hoped, who gave him grace after grace. That version doesn't live here anymore. You evolved. And the next person who gets access to you, they're going to have to come correct. Because you're not looking back, you're walking forward, fully aware of your value and no longer entertaining people who thought they could leave and come back whenever it suited them. You didn't just let him go, you let go of the idea that he was the only one who could love you deeply. You let go of the illusion that this was the best it could ever be. And most importantly, you let go of the version of you who thought settling was better than being alone. He let you go and didn't expect you to let him go too, but you did, and that is where your power begins. You know what's interesting? Most people don't realize how loud silence can be. We think we need to have the last word, the big emotional goodbye, the deep closure talk to make someone understand what they did, or to feel like the chapter is really closed. But here's the truth. It's not always the dramatic final conversation that gives us peace. Sometimes it's the absence of one. See, when someone lets you go, especially if they think you'll be hanging on in the background, waiting, hoping, checking in, your silence becomes the one thing they never expected. And it's the one thing that says everything. It says, I don't need to scream to show I've healed. I don't need to chase clarity from someone who already showed me who they are by letting me go. That silence, that's powerful. Because here's what usually happens. They let you go. Maybe it was messy. Maybe it was calm. Maybe it was completely one-sided. They say, I can't do this, or I need space. Or maybe they just start drifting. And in that moment, a part of you still hopes they'll realize what they had and come back. That's natural. You're human. You invested your heart, your time, your emotional energy. Of course, there's a part of you that wants them to wake up and say, I made a mistake. But if they truly cared, they wouldn't have risked losing you in the first place. Now, what they often don't expect is that you're going to actually move on. They let you go thinking you'll stay emotionally available, that you'll respond to the late night texts, that you'll still like the Instagram story, that you'll still be there as an option. They let you go, but they didn't expect you to let them go too. And that's where your silence becomes a sentence. When you stop responding, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. When you stop giving them access to you. When you don't chase, don't beg, don't fight to be heard. When you just let go. That's when the message sinks in. They didn't break you. It's not about ignoring them to play games. This isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about reaching a place where your peace is more important than getting an explanation. Because let's be honest, what kind of closure are you really hoping for? Are you expecting them to say, I was wrong, I lost the best thing that ever happened to me? Are you waiting for them to explain why they walked away so it makes sense to you? Are you hoping that somehow hearing their side will make the pain stop? Even if they did give you that, it wouldn't heal the wound. Closure isn't a door they close for you. It's one you lock yourself from the inside. And silence? That's the key. There's something deeply dignified about walking away without trying to convince someone to stay. About deciding that your time, your energy, your love will no longer be invested where it isn't appreciated. That kind of silence is powerful because it's built on clarity. Clarity that says, you're allowed to leave, but I'm allowed to move forward. Clarity that says, I don't hate you, but I won't chase you. Clarity that says, I deserved better, and I'm giving that to myself now. The irony is, the moment you go silent, that's usually when they start to notice. That's when the hey, how are you messages show up. That's when the I was just thinking about you texts land in your inbox. Because your absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. But here's the thing, you don't need to respond because you're not doing this for a reaction. You're doing this to heal. See, silence is not a punishment for them. It's a gift for you. It's a space where you stop hoping, stop explaining, stop trying to prove your worth to someone who couldn't see it. It's where your energy stops leaking into a dead connection and starts fueling the life you're building without them. That's the real closure. Not a conversation, not an apology, not a rehashing of the past. It's you living fully in the present. And maybe, yeah, they'll regret it. Maybe they'll realize they let go of something rare. Maybe they'll wish they had done things differently. But by then, you'll be long gone. Not bitter, not angry, just over it. You'll be too busy being loved properly by someone who doesn't need to lose you to recognize your value. So stop waiting for the final word. You don't need it. Let your silence do the talking. Let your peace be the closure. Let go for real this time. Because the most powerful thing you can ever say is nothing at all. I want you to hear that again, not just with your ears, but with your heart. Letting go is not a weakness, not a surrender, and definitely not a sign that you've lost. Letting go is a decision rooted in strength, in dignity, and in a deep belief that you deserve more than being someone's second thought. It's one of the most powerful things a person can do, not because it's easy, but because it's the opposite. It's hard, it takes courage, it takes knowing that even though a part of you still aches for the past, you're no longer willing to make your home there. Here's the thing, when someone lets you go, consciously or not, they're betting on the idea that you won't. They think you'll hold on emotionally, that you'll stay available, stay stuck in limbo, maybe even keep a small part of your heart reserved for them. They expect the door to remain half open just in case they ever want to walk back through it. And often, we oblige. We keep that door cracked, don't we? Not because we're naive, but because we're human. We loved, we gave, we invested, we hoped. So it's not bitterness that makes it hard to move on. It's the memory of what we once had and the belief that maybe, just maybe, we could have it again. But at some point, you have to ask yourself, what does it cost to keep holding on? How much of your peace, your energy, your future are you sacrificing by keeping one eye on a door that's already closed? Letting go isn't about pretending it didn't hurt. It's not about saying, I never cared, or it never mattered. It did. It mattered deeply. But you're choosing to stop bleeding for someone who couldn't even bring themselves to show up for you consistently. That's not bitter. That's wise. And here's what people don't talk about enough. Letting go isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. It happens in small moments. The moment you stop checking your phone every hour, the moment you don't stalk their profile, the moment you stop replaying old conversations, trying to decode what went wrong. It's in the moment you start choosing peace over the chaos of confusion. It's not a declaration shouted into the void. It's a quiet reclaiming of your time, your mind, your heart. Some people only realize what they had after they've let it go. That's their journey, that's their lesson. But yours is to walk forward. Not to wait for someone to realize your value in hindsight, but to find someone who sees it right now, clearly, fully, and without hesitation. Letting go is also not about revenge. It's not, I'll show you what you missed. That's still giving energy to the past. It's about getting to a place where you genuinely don't need them to see it. You see it. You feel it. You live it. There's something so freeing about no longer being tethered to someone else's indecision. When you let go, you stop waiting for a text that might never come. You stop hoping for clarity that they may not even have themselves. You stop negotiating your self-worth based on someone else's ability or inability to show up. Think about it. What would your life look like if you redirected every ounce of energy you've spent hoping for a return and invested it into your own growth, your own happiness, your own healing? You'd become someone unrecognizable. In the best way. Someone whose life is so rich and full and grounded that even the memory of the person who couldn't choose you fades into something distant, like a lesson from another lifetime. Letting go isn't about forgetting. It's about freeing. It's about taking your power back from the past and using it to create something better. Because you don't owe your future to someone who let go of you. You owe it to the person you're becoming. And maybe the hardest part about letting go is accepting that you may never get the closure you thought you needed. You may never get the apology, the explanation, the recognition. But closure doesn't come from them, it comes from you. It's the moment you stop waiting and start deciding that your peace matters more than their presence, that your joy matters more than their return, that your joy matters more than the hope of reconciliation. You're not bitter for letting go. You're just done choosing someone who wouldn't choose you back. And that's not weakness. That's evolution. That's self-respect. That's love, real love, the kind you give to yourself when you realize you deserve more. So if he let you go, don't just sit there with your hands open, waiting for him to come back. Stand up, walk forward, because what he didn't expect was that you'd let him go too. It's funny, isn't it, how we sometimes secretly hope they're watching, that maybe, just maybe, they're checking our stories, reading between the lines of our captions, wondering how we're doing without them. That quiet wish for them to see us smiling, thriving, living our best life, and maybe feeling a little sting of regret. I get it. That feeling is human. After all, when someone lets us go, it's easy to start crafting our healing around the idea that one day they'll see what they lost, that maybe they'll finally understand, that maybe we'll get that satisfying moment of "I told you so." But let me ask you this. If your healing depends on whether or not they notice it, is it really healing? Here's the truth. Healing isn't a performance. It's not a show. It's not something you do so they'll miss you. It's something you do so you can finally stop missing them. Healing is not about posting the right photo or saying the right thing to provoke a response. It's about finding peace so deep that their response, or lack of it, stops mattering altogether. When he let you go, he assumed you'd be stuck in that space where he left you, emotionally paused, still hoping, still waiting. He didn't expect you to build a new life from the rubble he walked away from. That's the part they rarely prepare for, the version of you that doesn't just survive the heartbreak, but rises because of it. And the irony? The moment you truly stop caring if they see your growth, your happiness, your glow up, that's often when they come back around. Not because they've changed, not because they've had an epiphany, but because your energy is no longer orbiting around them, and because you're no longer emotionally available to fill the gaps in their life. You've closed that chapter quietly, powerfully, without fanfare. That's the kind of healing that hits different. Not the kind they can see, but the kind they can feel. That shift in your energy, that softness in your smile that says, "I've moved on and I'm not looking back." And when I say this, I don't mean you have to pretend to be okay when healing isn't faking it. It's not waking up one morning and suddenly being over everything. It's a messy, non-linear process. It's nights where you still wonder why, mornings where you still check your phone out of habit. It's battling with those moments of weakness and still choosing strength anyway. But as you go through that process, don't build your progress on the idea that one day he'll see it, that one day he'll scroll through your feed and regret what he lost. Because if that's your motivation, then your healing is still about him. And that's giving him way too much power. Let your healing be about you, about the peace you want to wake up with, about the confidence you want to carry into every room, about the love you want to feel within yourself before anyone else ever gets the chance to experience it. You see, when your healing becomes personal, when it becomes something sacred, something internal, then no one can take it away from you, not even him. He doesn't need to see the version of you that's glowing. You don't need to prove that you're doing well, because the moment you start living just for you, free from the need for validation, that's when you start truly living. That's when the smile becomes real, not curated. When the laughter comes from joy, not from a need to be seen. And here's the thing, people don't always regret losing you when you're at your most Instagrammable. They regret losing you when they feel your absence. When the person who used to check in stopped. When the person who always cared no longer does. When the one who loved deeply quietly walks away without trying to be heard. That's the kind of impact you want to have. Not a loud one, not a dramatic exit, but a powerful disappearing act that leaves a void. That kind of absence can't be ignored. And yet, the point isn't to make them feel that void. It's for you to finally feel whole. You don't need to be seen by someone who couldn't value you the first time. Letting go means no longer placing your worth in someone else's awareness. It means no longer waiting to be acknowledged. You are not a memory waiting to be cherished. You are a person choosing to live. And what a beautiful thing it is to live. To wake up one day and realize the ache is gone, that your heart doesn't tighten at the thought of him anymore, that your peace, your laughter, your sense of self, they all came back. Not because he returned, but because you did. That's the quiet miracle of letting go. No fireworks, no dramatic closure, just this stillness that arrives like a sunrise, slowly, gently, but completely. And in that stillness, you start to rebuild. You start to see yourself again, not through his eyes, but through your own. And your eyes, my friend, are the only ones that ever truly mattered. So yes, he may have let you go thinking you'd never truly walk away. But here you are, healing, growing, glowing. And whether or not he sees it, that's irrelevant because you do. Letting go is one of the hardest things we ever have to do in relationships. We convince ourselves that holding on means we're trying, that we're putting in the effort, that we're fighting for what's worth fighting for. But the truth is, letting go isn't a sign of defeat. It's not giving up. It's not an act of weakness. Letting go is one of the most powerful decisions you can make for yourself. It's choosing yourself. It's finally drawing the line and saying, I will no longer wait in uncertainty, no longer sacrifice my peace, my future, or my happiness for someone who isn't willing to meet me halfway. You see, when you let go, you take your power back. You reclaim the control you gave away in the hope that things would change, that love would prevail, or that he would come around. But here's the thing. When someone lets you go, they've already made their choice. And while you may want to believe that your love or your effort can change their mind, the reality is that letting go is as much their decision as it is yours. And it's in that moment, that decision to release them, that you have the opportunity to rediscover who you are, what you want, and who you're meant to be. Too often we spend too much time worrying about whether he's going to miss us, whether he's going to realize what he lost, or whether he's going to come back and give us the closure we crave. But the truth is, healing doesn't depend on him seeing your growth or feeling your absence. Healing isn't about him at all. It's about you. It's about turning inward, focusing on your own journey, and letting go of everything that's been holding you back from becoming the best version of yourself. Because here's what happens when you truly let go. You open yourself up to a new kind of freedom. The kind of freedom that comes when you stop waiting, when you stop wondering, when you stop holding your breath for someone who's not ready to meet you where you are. It's like stepping outside on a beautiful day and feeling the sun on your face after a long period of being indoors, stuck in the shadows. That's the freedom that comes when you let go, not because you've given up, but because you've chosen yourself. Letting go is an act of strength. It's not about bitterness or anger. It's not about showing them that they were wrong or trying to punish them for not fighting for you. It's about having the courage to admit that what's best for you is a future where you're not stuck in the past, a future where you're surrounded by people who recognize your worth and treat you accordingly. It's about trusting that there's someone out there who will not let go of you, someone who will choose you in ways that make you feel valued, seen, and loved. And that future, it begins the moment you stop clinging to the past. I get it. It's hard. It's so much easier to stay in the comfort of what we know, even if it's hurting us, because at least when you're holding on, there's a sense of security, even if that security is based on false hope. But that false hope is a cage, and the more you stay, the more you become imprisoned by your own desire to make things work. So you make excuses, you give him second chances, third chances, fourth chances, all the while ignoring the part of you that knows you deserve more than what you're getting. The part of you that wants to believe in your own worth more than you believe in his potential. The part of you that wants to stand up for yourself, but you keep waiting for him to come back and show you that he really does care, that he really does see your value. But here's the truth. No one can love you more than you love yourself. No one can make you feel valued more than you are willing to value yourself. When you let go, you're not just releasing him, you're releasing the belief that you need him in order to feel complete. You're releasing the thought that your happiness is tied to someone else's actions. You're choosing to take control of your own destiny, to be the hero in your own story, instead of waiting for someone to give you permission to be happy. Letting go also means accepting that you can't change someone who isn't ready to change. You can't force someone to meet you where you are. And sometimes the hardest part is realizing that it doesn't matter how much you care, how much you've invested, or how much you've given. If he's not in the same place as you, if he's not as committed, if he's not as invested, you can't make him see what you see. And that's okay. It's not a reflection of your worth, your value, or your love. It's just the reality of being with someone who isn't on the same page. And that's when you realize the power in walking away. Letting go is not just about cutting ties with him, it's about cutting ties with the version of yourself who thought she needed him in order to feel complete. It's about stepping into your own life, your own power, and your own future. It's about realizing that you can thrive without him, that you are enough as you are, with or without someone else by your side. When you let go, you stop waiting for someone else to validate your worth. You stop needing someone to show up for you in ways that you should be showing up for yourself. You can make your life as full as you choose to. And in doing so, you give yourself the freedom to become someone who's ready to receive the love you truly deserve. Someone who can stand tall, who can move forward with confidence, knowing that their worth isn't tied to someone else's approval. When you choose to let go, you free yourself to build the life that's waiting for you. One that's full of possibilities, full of joy, and full of love that comes from within. And remember this, letting go isn't the end of your story. It's just the beginning of the next chapter. The next chapter where you're in control, where you're the one making the choices, where you're the one who's writing your own narrative. It's the chapter where you get to decide how your story goes from here. So don't fear letting go, embrace it, because it's not about losing someone, it's about gaining everything that's meant for you. So let go and let yourself soar.